The following is not a confirmation of the identity nor the location of Raxxla. This video is made using items from ancient mythology and other elite games to form speculation on the topic that is Raxxla. If you are offended by speculation, monologues, Keith Chegwin fanfiction, people discussing Raxxla, or discussing the Dark Wheel, then go watch something else.
To the jewel that burns on the brow of the mother of galaxies, to the whisperer in witch space, the siren of the deepest void, the parent's grief, the lover's woe, and the yearning of our vagabond hearts. To Raxxla!
Many times have I mentioned the possible links between the story of Elite Dangerous and the mythology of our own history. Many times have I speculated on the topic of Raxxla, but never have I felt so sure of what I have recently discovered, that there are in fact links between the mythology of our ancestors and the game we play today. And I'm going to tell you where I believe it is, more specifically where I believe the jewel, or at the very least, the pathway to Raxxla, will be found. Strap on your tinfoil folks, this one is going to melt your brain. Often we do see references to symbols or ancient deities within our game, either placed there by the real life names that were given to them many years ago, or the subtle references that were included into the game's universe for mysterious reasons. One such curiosity is the common use of the number 8 within this game, the 8th moon of a gas giant, the Sap 8 container, the 8 galaxies within the original game, the 8 sides of a Fargoid vessel. There seems to be a fondness of this number. Now the question is, why? Why do the makers of Elite Dangerous, all hail his blessed name Braben, choose this number? Well, it all started a few weeks back when I was searching the lore of the game for possible clues to hidden events. Firstly, I stumbled upon the possible connections between the Sap 8 containers and the supposed now extinct race known as the Guardians. Hold that word, Guardian, into your brain. It will be of further use down the line. Now, while I was looking for the number itself, it came to me. As I turned my head to scratch my neck, the number may not be a number after all. As I have mentioned other times, the use of the number 8 is common within Elite Dangerous. As you may look yourself for further links between the number 8 and Elite Dangerous, if you look into this you will find the number many times. Using the Ouroboros as the link between the two, I found startling connections between ancient mythology via references mentioned in text from in the game and the inclusion of the names of stars that are not named as such in real life. The following will flesh out these links and how I got to the location that is permit locked and the connection to the symbol of infinity. The mathematical for infinity is known as the lemniscate, devised in 1655 by mathematician John Wallis and named the lemniscate ribbon by Daniel Bernoulli about 40 years later. The symbol is patterned after the device known as the Mobius strip. A Mobius strip is a strip of paper which is folded in such a way that it has only one edge and one side. For a qualified explanation for what exactly a Mobius strip is, please refer to the link below. Based in layman's terms, one of the uses of the Mobius strip is used to theorise the shape of our universe and its infinity. Again, refer to the links below. The religious aspect for the infinity symbol predates its mathematical origins. The Ouroboros or infinity stake is often depicted in the shape of the number 8. In the tarot, the lemniscate represents the balances of forces and is often associated with the magician card. Ouroboros, meaning in Greek tail swallower, is an ancient symbol used by the Greeks and many other cultures, but first known from ancient Egyptian mythology. The Ouroboros is usually depicted in the form of a snake swallowing its tail, and is usually, yet not exclusively, circular, as in a singular snake, circling its own body, consuming its tail. In Gnosticism, it was related to the solar god Abraxas and signified eternity and the soul of the world. In ancient alchemy, the Ouroboros represented the spirit of Mercury, which alchemists of the time thought permeated all matter. It symbolises continuous renewal, the cycle of life and death, the harmony of the polar opposites, i.e. yin and yang. A double Ouroboros, which was usually depicted as two snakes eating one another, signifies volatility. If you have not already noticed, the symbol for Ouroboros turned on its side is the number 8. The first known reference to the Ouroboros is in the enigmatic book of the Netherworld, an ancient Egyptian funerary text that was found in the tomb of Tutankhamun, the pharaoh of Egypt of the 14th century BC. The text contained the tales of the god Ra and his union with Osiris in the underworld. The Ouroboros is depicted twice on the figures shown, holding their tails in their mouths, one encircling the head and upper chest, and the other surrounding the feet of the large figure, also holding their tails in their mouths. This is thought to represent the deities Ra and Osiris unified, meaning merged as one entity. Both serpents are manifestations of the deity Mehen, who in other texts found in ancient Egypt protects Ra and his underworld journey, acting as his guardian. The meaning of the divine figure is thought to represent the beginning of the end of time. Mehen, meaning coiled one, refers to a mythological snake god and a board game popular in ancient Egypt. In terms of the snake god, Mehen, the earliest references to Mehen occurs in the coffin text. Mehen is a guardian deity who is depicted as a snake which coils around the sun god Ra during his journey through the night, for instance in the events of the Amduat. The popular board game of the same name played at the time is regarded as the earliest known multiplayer board game, which, as we all know, board games are the precursors to video games. This board game was held in great reverence within Egyptian culture of the time. Remember what I said about Frontier using references to leave hints? Mehen is a system in the game, not a real-life star system, meaning the devs added the system name for a reason. More information about the Amduat is located within the members section of the video. The following is an explanation to an ancient Egyptian text describing the civilization's description of the underworld. The word Amduat is translated as text of the hidden chamber which is in the underworld. The Amduat is a funerary text that tells the tale of the journey of regeneration of the sun god Ra, through the 12 hours of night, from sunset presenting death and the sunrise representing rebirth. The Amduat represents an important stepping stone in the literary traditions of ancient Egypt and was held as a model for future Egyptian books pertaining to the subject of the afterlife, even holding relevance well into the later ages of the Roman and Greco civilizations. The main aim for the text is to offer a painting in the mind's eye of the Netherworld, so that those who die, as well as those who still live, are familiar with what to expect when their journeys to the afterlife begin. Knowledge of the secret paths of the Netherworld offer protection to those that tread this path from the dangers this Netherworld contains. The text shows the obstacles and demons that may obstruct a safe passage into the heavens, as well as deities and beings that are able to assist the deceased towards the completion of the journey of regeneration. In the 7th book, Ra is faced by the most terrifying being that this place has to offer, Apophis, the great serpent which blocks Ra's bark. A bark was an ancient Egyptian boat. Apophis is the embodiment of chaos and evil, and even the powerful god Ra fears this evil entity. Ra enlists the help of other deities to remove this threat, namely the god Osiris, depicted on the picture you are seeing now as the seated on the throne, protectively circled by the serpent Mehen, i.e. the guardian. Osiris is depicted in his role as judge and executioner of the dead, with the 3 decapitated in front of him and the corpses of 3 others lying further along. One set had failed Osiris's judgment and the other set were deemed blessed dead. The middle register contains Ra's solar bark, but the god is depicted this time not in his usual shrine, but exactly as Osiris on the upper register, encircled by the serpent Mehen, who will also protect the sun god for all subsequent hours of the night. Protection is necessary to face Apophis, but certainly not enough to defeat him. and so two other powerful deities join Ra's bark to help him in his struggle against the evil serpent. These deities are known as Isis and Set. Isis is Osiris' wife and sister, and she is the one who, after Set killed and dismembered him, collected his body parts and gave him a new life. She's the great healer and the goddess of life and love, who can, such as in this case, also display an aggressive and fighting nature. In the papyrus, she was depicted stretching her arms towards Apophis, using her magic powers to enchant him. The other helping deity is depicted as a male figure called the eldest magician that has been identified as Set. It may perhaps surprise to find him on the solar bark next to Isis, assisting Ra in defeating Apophis. Set was in fact a god usually associated with chaos and evil, and he was indeed the one who killed Osiris and subsequently engaged in a long battle against Horus. Nevertheless, Set, perhaps exactly because somehow very similar to Apophis, is chosen to help defeat the evil serpent. In other texts, Set is shown engaging in a physical struggle with Apophis, battling him with his lance from the prow of his solar bark to make him regurgitate the waters he had swallowed. In the Amduat though, both Isis and Set use magic to enchant him, while the other deities apply chains and rope on the serpent, slaughter him and cut him with knives, to punish Apophis in the Netherworld day after day.
Raxxla has been suggested to be anything from an unremarkable moon to a state of cosmic enlightenment. The earliest documented stories tend to agree on several points, however: that Raxxla is a definite place and that it holds a mystical secret. Several versions of the Raxxla story mention an alien artifact, the omphalos rift, described as a gateway or tunnel through which parallel universes can be accessed. These details, however, were later shown to bear a striking resemblance to the children's story, Princess Astrophel and the Spiraling Stars, and soon lost credibility. Undaunted, some Raxxla seekers insisted that the story's author had cunningly concealed facts about the mysterious locale in his book, as hints for those with eyes to see.
In real life, star Whiskey Romeo 104 is one of about 200 known so-called Wolf-Rayet stars. Such stars are in a phase of where they are hot, massive and extremely luminous. Typically 3 times the size, 25 times heavier and 100,000 times brighter than our own sun. In this relatively short-lived Wolf-Rayet phase, the pressure of the intensely bright emitted light can expel the star's outer atmosphere. Not all Wolf-Rayet stars will form a spiraling tail. The expelled outer atmosphere forms around the star, looking like a spiral. Not all Wolf-Rayet stars will form a spiraling tail. The reason why Whiskey Romeo 104 appears as it does is that it has a companion star. As the two stars orbit around each other, Whiskey Romeo 104 shoots material around its companion, and the circling orbit drags this into a spiral. The Vela constellation lies in the southern hemisphere. Its name means the sails in Latin. The constellation represents the sails of the Argo Navis, the ship on which Jason and the Argonauts sailed on their quest for the Golden Fleece. It was once part of the much larger constellation Argo Navis, which was divided into 3 smaller constellations: Vela, the sails, Carina, the keel, and Pupis. Argo Navis in Greek mythology was represented through the story of Jason and the Argonauts, in which a crew of warriors sought out the much fabled and mystical item, the Golden Fleece. It is also thought that the original constellation was borrowed from ancient Egypt, this constellation originally representing the boat or bark of Osiris. This is how I am linking the two together. Argo Navis was one of the 48 Greek constellations first catalogued by the Greek astronomer Claudius Ptolemy in the 2nd century AD. Vela contains a number of interesting stars and deep sky objects, among them the 8-burst nebula, the Gum Nebula, the Vela supernova remnant, the Pencil Nebula, and the Omicron Velorum cluster. Gamma Velorum is the brightest star in the Vela constellation. It has an apparent magnitude of 1.7. Gamma Velorum is in fact a multiple star system composed of at least 6 stars. In ancient times, you would be excused for describing this object as a jewel. The star system's traditional name, Suhail or Suhail al-Mulaf, apologies for the pronunciation, is derived from the Arabic Suhail al-Mulaf, which means the glorious star of the oath. In modern times, the star has also been known as Rhaegor, but neither name has been formally approved for Gamma Velorum by the International Astronomical Union. Lambda Vela, or Ashu Hail, is a star in the sails of Argo Navis, the great ship. Al-Suhail al-Wazin, Sun Hail of the Weight. Sun Hail means smooth plain, Wazin meaning weight, applied to stars near the horizon. As the star seems to rise with difficulty from the horizon, Wazin is also the title of stars in Canis Major, Centaurus and Columba. The astronomical influences for the whole constellation of Argo Navis, the great ship, according to Ptolemy, the bright stars are like Saturn and Jupiter. Argo is said to give prosperity in trade and voyages, and strength of mind and spirit, but it has been observed to accompany cases of drowning. A notable instance being furnished by the horoscope of Shelley, where Argo occupied the 8th house and contained the Sun, Venus and Uranus. Drowning is particularly feared when Saturn afflicts the Moon in or from Argo. It is probably on account of this constellation that Virgo, especially the first decanate, is frequently found to be connected with drowning. To this day, Gamma Velorum remains permit locked, as does the entire surrounding area. It is located near to the Guardian Grave Worlds. The surrounding area is known as the Guardian Bubble. In real-world astronomy, it contains the nearest Wolf-Rayet and has a total of 6 stars located around the primary stellar body. Wolf-Rayets have been observed to spiral when accompanied by other stars in the same system, where they have been observed to throw their stellar contents in the path of the other star. This reaction creates a spiraling effect when observed. Argo Navis was long known to Greek observers, who are theorized to have taken it from Egypt around 1000 BCE. Plutarch attributed it to the Egyptian boat of Osiris. If you recall some of the lore in relation to the Guardians, their sun was volatile and had caused great hardship for that race in their history. A double Ouroboros is referred to as symbolising volatility. Interestingly, the original term for Osiris in ancient Egypt was Usir. I wonder why the permit lock is in place at Gamma Velorum, and indeed the whole area. What makes that destination so special? I guess until Frontier unlocks this system, we can only speculate as to its contents. I have no doubt that although it may be unrelated to Raxxla, whatever is hidden amongst this system's volatile light is huge. Thanks for the watch. I would like to thank the official members of the channel, David Gate, and the new member, Ahsoka Ashla Tano. I would also like to thank the coffee backer, Commander Jinx Chrome. If you would like to back the channel via coffee or become a member and watch some exclusive videos, including this one, either follow the membership option below or the coffee link in the description. Please make sure to hit the like if you enjoyed this video. Liking this video massively helps the algorithm and gets me seen by more people, therefore making the channel grow quicker. Until next time, Commanders, 07.
To the jewel that burns on the brow of the mother of galaxies, to the whisperer in witch space, the siren of the deepest void, the parent's grief, the lover's woe, and the yearning of our vagabond hearts. To Raxxla